Welcome to Leadership Speak, an advanced Toastmasters club for leadership development. We are one of the top 5 clubs globally. My name is Meltem Şahin. I will be your sergeant-at-arms of the meeting. We provide a positive and supportive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Leadership Speak is the premier club for experienced Toastmasters to become better self-directed leaders. We are an advanced club focused primarily on leadership development in everything we do. Our timer has a virtual hand raised so we can all see who is keeping the time. Our Toastmaster of the day, who will lead our meeting, is Distinguished Toastmaster Schmidt. Hannah's leadership and communication journey started when she joined Toastmasters. This process gained momentum in 2020 when Toastmasters meetings shifted to online via Zoom. Meeting so many Toastmasters from around the globe has made an impact on her and made her aware of the general values of audience she meets. About the theme for today. According to Hannah Schmidt, when leaders strive to understand and listen to her with empathy and commitment, they are true servant leaders. Please help me welcome our Toastmaster of the day, Distinguished Toastmaster Hannah Schmidt, with your big applause, please.
Thank you very much, Madam S.A.A. Meltem, for that warm welcome and the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, fellow Toastmasters, visitors, and guests. A warm welcome to our 120th meeting of Leadership Speak Toastmasters. We have a great theme for today, especially today, as we let our new executive, our servant leaders, for the year 24-25. As of 1st of July, a new team of servant leaders will take over. We shall meet them and welcome them at the end of the meeting today. Yet, what do we understand by servant leader? A servant leader in Toastmasters, they encourage their fellow members to take responsibility, to complete their levels and paths, to ultimately contribute to their own and the success of the club. I specifically refer to the 10th promise on the membership application form, which we all have read and signed when we joined Toastmasters. And that reads, to act within Toastmasters' core values, integrity, respect, service, and excellence during the conduct of all Toastmaster activities. By adhering to this promise, members have already then made a commitment to become a servant leader that I have taken from the membership application form. At Leadership Speak, it is all about commitment, and I add encouragement and connection. Our servant leaders have made the commitment to serve diligently and with their outstanding and dynamic influence to encourage and connect with the members and lead them out of their comfort zone, ultimately to reach their growth zone. And now we can be committed to encourage and connect with new members. Thus, we complete the circle, and the final result? To achieve our goal by producing more and more servant leaders. As your Toastmaster of the day, I have some extremely self-dedicated leaders to help me steer my leadership. To start our leadership journey, we need a word of encouragement, and thus we start with a toast. Please help me welcome Paula to raise the toast.
My fellow Toastmasters and guests, we often talk about leading by example, but what does that actually mean? How do we demonstrate the style of leadership that serves our members or our clients or our organizations and businesses in the best possible way? A compelling example of servant leadership, Golden Gavel Award winner John C. Maxwell serves us very well. John shares that a leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. We know this quote very well. This example fits very well in with the Toastmasters model. In fact, it seems like our core values that Hannah just shared, respect, integrity, service, and excellence, were designed with servant leadership in mind. Servant leaders know the way because they are focused on excellence in every way. They have put in the work. They know what they're doing and they share it in a compelling, influential manner. This means they don't simply talk about leadership, they demonstrate it effectively by going the way of the servant leader. They nurture and champion others, respecting the autonomy and aspirations of their fellow members. In this way, servant leaders create more leaders, men and women who know what they're doing, who go that way with confidence, and who show others how to do it very well. Their leadership is their legacy, alive in each person they influence. To the servant leader, it's an honor and a privilege to serve others in a way that makes everyone a better leader. I invite everyone present today to raise their glass to all the servant leaders among us, those who, through their excellent example, show us the way to success. To servant leadership.
To servant leadership.
To servant leadership.
The servant leadership. Paula, thank you very much. What an impressive toast. We know, we go, and we show the way. Thank you very much. The person who is in charge of the leadership hourglass is our timer, Jennifer. And I'll ask Jennifer to please explain her role.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Good evening. I'm Jennifer, and I'm going to be your timer today. As per Zig Ziglar, lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. We all have 24 hours a day. I shall be keeping time according to the allocated projects. At the end of each segment, I shall post the times into the chat box. Thank you for this opportunity and good day. Over to you, Hannah.
Thank you very much, our timer, our hourglass keeper for today. Being on board with servant leaders, we need to observe the correct use of our language. And I welcome our grammarian, Sundar, to please explain his role and give us a word of the day. Over to you, Sundar.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mr. Paula. And the guests. As grammarian, it's my responsibility to pay close attention to all speakers, listening carefully to their language usage. We take note of any important language as well as any outstanding words, quotes, sayings, or thoughts. Grammarian, it was also my duty to introduce the word of the day, for today's meeting. The word is altruistic, which means showing unselfish concern for the welfare of others. It's an adjective. The examples of it is kind of her volunteer work is a perfect outlet for her altruistic personality. Showing a wish to help or bring advantages to others. And the servant leadership is about that. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day, and I'll provide the report when Paula.
What a beautiful word, altruistic. Yes, at leadership speak, you only find altruistic servant leaders. Thank you very much, Sunda. Let me start our journey, our meeting, with an appropriate quote by Larry Spears. The servant leader seeks to identify the will of a group and helps to clarify that will. Now we come to the important part where others can talk. And our first speaker is, for our leadership educational speaker is Buhari. And I invite his evaluator, Tony, to please read the purpose statement.
Thank you very much. Buhari's presentation is Pathways Persuasive Influence, project number 3, level 3, project number 12. Now, Buhari has asked me to, and you, my fellow evaluators, to help make comments on how he focuses on audience engagement. So it's persuasive influence with audience engagement. So we have an important role to help Buhari become more persuasive with audience engagement. And of course, the title will be, Yes, I Can. So I'm already inspired to be his evaluator. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, Tony. Buhari, one of our newest members. Wow, thank you. He is a certified expert in agricultural finance and Islamic microfinance from Frankfurt School of Management in Frankfurt, Germany. He is a passionate Toastmaster and has served as a VPE, Vice President Education at Gemstone Toastmasters Club. He was second runner-up in the table topics at his Division E contest in 2023. Please help me welcome Buhari Saiyed. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Buhari Saiyed.
Thank you so much, the Toastmaster of the Day. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. The servant leader. The servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. Then conscious choice brings one to aspire to lead. This is in the words of Robert K. Greenleaf. Robert K. Greenleaf is said to have been one of the first authors to use the word servant leader. And in his words, he said, servant leaders display characteristics such as strong listening skills, empathy, self-awareness, and the desire to create a healthy environment for the people he leads. Yes, I can is the mantra that a servant leader should have in whatever leadership position finds himself. Now, one may ask, what are the qualities that servant leader also has? Well, those qualities are not inbuilt. Rather, they are qualities that one can learn and apply them as a servant leader. First, a servant leader listens. A servant leader listens to what is said and what is not said. The servant leader shows empathy. For whatever decision he takes, he knows deep down that it affects the people he leads. As such, he uses an analogy of putting his leg in the shoes of his followers, thereby trying to absorb the effect of what his decisions and directions might mean to his followers. A servant leader has very strong character of self-awareness, for it is in self-awareness that even followers find the right direction to apply into achieving excellence. The servant leader's self-awareness can never be overemphasized. A servant leader has foresight. He knows the goal he needs to get, but he knows that getting goals has to be teamwork. It is a normal adage we find that said, if you want to go for success, go alone. But if you want to go far in success, you go together as a team. Finally, a self-servant leader builds community of people who never thought they're able to achieve anything in life. Yet, he encapsulates all the qualities that I mentioned earlier. Now you want to ask, how can one be a servant leader? Or you might ask, in my leadership position I hold, in my office, in my business, or in Toastmasters International, what criteria should I use to evaluate myself whether I am a servant leader? One is you have to lead by example. You don't say your followers should do something and they don't see you do it. Rather, you take the lead, you take the step, you do it, and they see you do it. Secondly, a servant leader has a vision and foresight that he has to explain to people by his words or by his actions whenever he leads, thereby showing the importance and significance of the goals that his team had to achieve. A servant leader collaborates and engages with his members in the team he finds himself. That means every team player in the organization or team he finds himself owns the process. By owning the process, this gives a way that team spirit and collaboration that will enable the team achieve its goals. So pause and ask yourself this. I lead by example. Do I show my team members what is in it for them in whatever we set as a goal? Do I encourage collaboration and engagement in my team? The fourth is a servant leader helps his team to grow and develop. He doesn't care what it takes. All he wants to do is to show that spirit of togetherness. A team servant leader shows care for his team. And finally, he asks for feedback. Why don't you pause and ask, do I fit into this criteria? The good news is, if you fit into these criteria, then you are a servant leader. And the other good news is, if you don't fit into these criteria of becoming a servant leader, there is time to apply these principles. Come one. The servant leader is servant first. It begins with a natural feeling that one wants to serve, as opposed to wanting power, influence, fame, or wealth. Absence of servant leadership can breed toxic cultures marked by low morale, distrust, and ethical lapses. In the helm of modern leadership, the servant leader emerges as guiding lights, navigating through the complexities with empathy and service. At the core of servant leadership lies the mastery of communication, art of consensus building, persuasion, the skill of igniting collective motivation towards a shared purpose. These servant leaders embody vision, initiating action with foresight, continually assessing their surroundings and adapting to the change with unwavering dedication. They are pillars of trustworthiness, selflessness, and driven by a relentless pursuit of purpose. If you have a strong purpose in life, you don't have to be pushed. Your passion will drive you there, said Roy T. Burnett. One of the most important things a servant leader should have is purpose. In everything you do as a leader, you need to have a sense of purpose. In the words of the leadership expert, John C. Maxwell, and one of the best-selling authors in New York Times, he said, purpose is a compass that will navigate you to success. All servant leaders are goal-getters. The best thing I have ever read about purpose is in the book Compound Effect, written by Darren Hardy, where he gave 3 scenarios that shows the importance of purpose. The first scenario is, just imagine I take a flat wood and place it on the floor, and I say, walk on it. Of course, the rhetorical answer is going to be yes, I can. I can walk on it because it is on a flat surface. The second scenario is I pick that same flat wood and place it as a bridge between 2-story buildings that are 10-story buildings at the same time, one at the left and one at the right. And I place it on the center and ask you to work on it. Now, the $1 million question is, would you work on it? Some might say yes, because they are courageous, while the most who are risk averse, like myself, will say no, I won't work. Now, the third scenario is I place that same flat wood as a bridge between 10-story buildings, one at the left, one at the right. But this time, the building at the right-hand side is caught with fire and has a little child that needs to be saved. Now, if I ask you by typing in the chat box, would you walk on that wood to cross over to the right building to save that child? Please, let me see some replies in the chat box. Would you cross using that flat wood? Oh, yes. Certainly. If your answer is yes, which I believe it would for everyone, then I ask you, what changed? Surely it is purpose. It shows the immense power that purpose have to servant leaders. Within the nurturing confines of Toastmasters International, servant leaders find it sanctuary to hone their abilities, making proactive decisions, unwavering confidence, and at the same time, carrying everybody along. Toastmasters International offers its members to practice servant leadership and as a self-paced educational platform, one who finds himself practicing. That is the only way you can achieve your goals and even inspire achieve theirs. The mantra resonates with us all when I say, Toastmasters where leaders are made. Surely, among styles, servant leader is among the forefront. From taking up responsibility role, which can be due to many reasons, such as shying away from responsibilities, and many more. But most don't realize the growth opportunities they miss. Make mistakes, destructive effect at it may, which when applied will help a better communicator and at the same time a leader. World. The honest truth is, it might feel so exhausting, but with resilience, foresight, patience, it will become bearable. It would be something that you enjoy. Time when I find myself in difficult situation, evaluate I can make to solve problem. Professors in the university used to tell me are very good in identifying identify solutions. But I go hill high, applying the principle. Yes, you can those problems. So far, my 5 years in Toastmasters servant leadership, I was skeptical at first. President education, but a club distinguished Toastmaster Anastasia called me, and that call lasted for 30 minutes before she got the role. One of the greatest decisions I enjoyed that I have in few years. After taking the role at first, I felt that people come to speak self-paced. That in order to achieve my DCP goals, I needed to apply the principles of servant leaders. I needed to be empathetic with my members, appear for meetings. I had to be empathetic. They are not good enough. Having imposter syndrome and excellence. My first attempt was the mindset. After showing empathy, growing engagement, explaining what it was for them to gain after presenting. You will get pause even when you speak horror, self-affection and love from members, DCP goals, and to me, being a servant leader. Great. Show empathy, in what, and I led by example by presenting. They see me do what I ask them to do. It's marvelous. And serving as a club president has given me many other executives of the club and other members. I do that with less but hand experience while I served as the vice president of education. By applying the principles of a servant, this result at my club, Gemstones Toastmasters Club, Area 14, Division U, District 94. 9 DCP goals in 6 months. We grew our membership base. We had a number of reinstated members as those members fell into Toastmasters again. Being a servant leader to them made them feel more to rekindle the light we had always had in them. Be a way of life. Servant leadership should be seeking, excel in his personal and professional endeavor, and resilience. It is in servant leadership you will experience team collaboration that when exposed in entrepreneur, in business, in finance, results when given a team to manage, when given goals to achieve, that you servant leadership has helped world businessmen. It has helped people in academia. People. And I have seen servant leadership for the warm welcome you receive as a servant leadership. Remember, investing in the growth of others and creating a positive impact. If I can, you the Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Buhari. Yes, we all can be altruistic servant leaders. And you have really inspired me about being a servant leader. Sundar, I'm going to use the word more than once. Make note of that. Our next speaker is Nicole. And I invite her, Evaluator Bindu, to please read the purpose statement for Nicole.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah. A very good evening to all Toastmasters. My speaker, Toastmaster Nicole Miller Douglas, is going to deliver her speech in the pathway Leadership Development. And the level 1 project is Write a Speech with a Purpose. The purpose of the project is to learn basic methods of writing a speech and the defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. What she would like to deliver this speech is in the format of an interview. And the purpose of her interview is that she want to be the #1 candidate whenever she is invited to another job interview in demonstrating exemplary communication skills.
Thank
The
you.
time is
Bindu.
5 to 7 minutes. Thank you very much. Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you very much, Bindu. Nicole, one of our, also not two older members, one of our new members, hails from Jamaica and is a compliance officer at the National Housing Trust, often referred to as NHT. It is the servant leadership style demonstrated by the late Michael Manley that led to the establishment of the NHT, through which the people of Jamaica housing needs could be satisfied. Please help me welcome Nicole Miller-Douglas, the value of my action. The value of my action, Nicole Miller-Douglas.
Madam HR Director and noble members of this interview panel, I thank you for this opportunity to be able to sit in this interview with you and to tell you how I will be able to accomplish the job functions for which I have applied. Now, I've been asked to tell you about myself, which includes my strengths, weaknesses, and where do I see myself in the next 5 years. My vision as a compliance inspector will be to focus on some key performance areas, which includes increasing the contributor base, improved contribution collections, improved arrears management, an increase in collections and registration of the necessary statutory documents from employers, and of course, an timely reconciliation of accounts to facilitate payouts in a timely manner. Today, I would like to share with you some of the strengths that I have. For one, my presentation skills have improved significantly since my journey in the Toastmasters Club. I have worked on my presentation skills, I have worked on my motivational strategies, and I have been able to work on my leadership skills as well. This portfolio management will require effective and efficient communication. And these are the strengths that I bring to the table and to the department. Now, in terms of all that I've listed before, I would like to zero in on 3 areas. An increase in the contributor base will most definitely feed into the other areas that I have indicated before, because an increased contributor rate would improve collections, would increase the amount of reconciliations that we are expected to do in terms of accounting, from an accounting perspective. Now, this is where the strength of my presentation skills will come in. Being able to organize and plan meetings with persons who have a vision that sometimes they just need someone to motivate them in order to start that vision as well as to expand that vision. I believe I will be able to motivate entrepreneurs in starting their business and to see their business growing from just 1 employee to 2 employees to 10 employees to 20, even up to 50 employees. Now, with this initiative being started at the community level, entrepreneurs would be able to see themselves contributing to the Jamaican society, not just as a sole proprietor who does not necessarily meet up to the statutory requirements of the Jamaican government, but they would have moved from that sole proprietor category into the category of becoming an employer who would now be responsible for making deductions, statutory deductions on behalf of their staff. It's not very easy for some people to see and appreciate this added expense of their employee base contributing to a growth in their business. Some persons are deterred by the increase or the envision increase in expenses. But beyond the increase in expenses, there will be improvements in profits. And that's where I would want our employers to focus on, those who would have moved from just being a sole proprietor to becoming an employer. That with greater achievements will come greater expenses. Being able to build that relationship with those who become employers, I will be able to manage a portfolio that will see at least a minimum increase by 10% in the contributor base of the Jamaican society and to the National Housing Trust. Madam HR Director and members of the interview panel, I am the best candidate for this job position of a compliance inspector, as I am meticulous in ensuring that things are done exactly as prescribed by policies and procedure. I think that this is one of my weaknesses, ensuring that I go through thoroughly and identify every minute detail, because the details is where the customer service really comes out. The details is where that servant leadership approach really comes out and is demonstrated for the benefit of all those that I serve. I see myself not just as a person who wants a job, but one who is willing to serve persons in a way that we will grow businesses as well as the economy as a whole. Madam HR Director and members of the panel, there is so much more I would like to say to you. However, at this time, I will conclude by saying that I believe with the strengths of presentation mastery, motivational strategies, and being able to coach employers in becoming visionary leaders of a society, then I believe I am the best candidate for this position. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Nicole, for that motivational speech that you gave to your HR. Indeed, Toastmasters, and especially leadership, speak motivates us to add value to our actions. And thank you for contributing your success or to your Jamaican community. Thank you very much, Nicole. Our next speaker is Nocawe. And I invite her evaluator, Irene, to please read the purpose statement for Nocawe.
Thank you, Toastmaster Hannah. Good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Nocawe is on the Persuasive Influence pathway. Level 4, Project 10. Manage projects successfully. The purpose of this project is for Nocawe to present a speech reflecting on the experience of applying what she has learned to work with a team and complete a project. In addition to that, Nocawe would like me to focus on her confidence, voice clarity, good use of language and pronunciation. Back to you, Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you very much, Irene. Nocawe is an environmentalist by profession. She has completed 2 paths and now on her 3rd path. She joined Toastmasters only 2.5 years ago, is currently area director and a division director-elect for the coming Toastmasters year, starting in July, which proves that she is indeed a servant leader, an altruistic servant leader. Please help me welcome Nocawe Nkosi. I was jumping like a frog. I was jumping like a frog. Nocawe Nkosi.
Madam Toastmaster of the Day, fellow Toastmasters and guests, did you know that a servant leader is altruistic? According to Ken Blanchard, a servant leader is a leader that has got a mindset of focusing on other people's needs than theirs. And I am that leader. I am a servant leader. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, one day I witnessed a frog inside a 20-liter bucket. It was trying to jump out of that bucket. Did it manage to jump out? Not really. I think in its mind, it thought, it's not nice being inside this bucket. I want to jump to a better environment than where I am. But frogs do not talk. It's only me thinking that's what it thought, simply because it kept on jumping with no success. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, I decided to conduct a Toastmasters week. Being a servant leader, I saw the need of it in my province simply because we've got 2 clubs in the whole big province. One is a corporate club, only open to the members of that specific corporate company. And we've got another one, my home club. It's only in person. As a VPM of that club for more than 2 years now, I have been receiving notification leads where people want to come and join our club. But because of the distances, because of the fact that we are not even hybrid, and we only hold our meetings at 6 p.m., so it's not safe for people to travel long distances, I decided that why can't I just charter an online club so that these people who are in need of these Toastmasters that I have seen doing things in me can get the same opportunity. Then I decided to approach my fellow team members. Do you know why did I chose them to be part of my team? It's because I have seen them being part of other Toastmasters Week, which tend to be very great exercises. So I thought they might help in what I needed. I approached them individually. They agreed. We had meetings planned. Along the way, they dragged their feet. And it broke my heart because I always found myself jumping, hoping to move to greater phases of my project. To my surprise, I always found myself standing on the same spot. Then now I decided to approach my team members again individually. But to my surprise, most of them, they told me, but do you think an online club will work? We've had open houses, but people, they just showed up but never signed as members. I decided that, you know what, it's me who feels the need of the people that I want to serve as a leader. I decided to go to corporate institutions. I decided to approach media houses to assist me. Do you know what? I was a team alone. Through that journey, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I learned that sometimes, because of the pressure that we feel when things do not go our way, we want to jump without coming with a strategy of jumping out. The frog that I earlier referred to, it stayed in that bucket. I had to help it out. I kicked the bucket and it jumped out. So now I ask myself as to what is it that I should have done right? But to my surprise, I managed to conduct the Toastmasters week alone. And my fellow Toastmaster, my fellow team in the project, they all cheered me up. We knew you could do this. But now I was shocked because I didn't want to do it alone. I wanted to do it with them. I learned that it is very important to choose people that are right for your project. The fact that you've seen them doing the same thing somewhere else doesn't guarantee that they will do the same thing in what you expect them to produce results. So I learned that it is very important to choose the right people for the right project. The second thing I learned that you need to build relationships. I had to have a good rapport with the team members. The third thing, I learned the time of planning, that you need to properly plan your things. You need to allocate correct time frames. Our time frame was only 1.5 months. Then after I have encountered my challenges, I decided to jump out of the bucket and find out from those other fellow Toastmasters that had conducted successful Toastmasters week. And I had learned that they had a long time of planning. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, failure is not a denial. I am still going to conduct a successful Toastmasters week this time, applying the lessons I have learned. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Nocawe, thank you very much. And here at Leadership Speak, we all jump like a frog as we enjoy our successes. Thank you, Nocawe. Our third speaker is Brahm, and I invite his evaluator, John, to please read the purpose statement for Brahm. John.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and visitors. Brahm is working on Dynamic Leadership Level 1, project number 4, Evaluation and Feedback. The purpose of his speech is to practice applying feedback and serve as a speech evaluator during club meeting. The purpose of his speech is for him to present a speech and receive feedback from me. He wants me to focus on the cohesiveness of the content and the delivery of his speech. The duration of his speech is 5 to 7 minutes. And now yield the virtual lectern back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, John. Brahm is a journalist, communications officer, and a marketer. He specializes in talks about leadership development within and beyond Toastmasters. Brahm was mentored to be a servant and transformative, I add altruistic leader, with the belief that any leader who is either self-serving or not bringing about change is taking up space in which other servant and transformative leaders would be affecting service and charge. I truly believe in him. Please help me welcome Ochola. Go through grow through, and close through. Go through, grow through, and close through. Baron Ochola.
The process of facing adversity and growing through it is essential for our personal and professional fulfillment. This is also known as the adversity process. That's right, Toastmasters and guests, the adversity process. Not a concept out of thin air, but a series of life stories we have seen happen that we pick from here and there and haven't tapped into as much as we could. To pick from this countless pool of stories is Helen Keller's story. Helen Keller, born in 1880, went blind and deaf from an illness when she was merely 19 months old. At 19 months old, it was certain that she's not going to be able to communicate as aptly as other children. On her way, she met a teacher who believed in her, but not only believed in her, went ahead and used teaching methods that were innovative, went ahead and taught her about perseverance, and taught her about resilience, and that was Anna Sullivan. Some of the teaching methods that Anna Sullivan used included tactile sign language, tactile writing rather, and sign language. She taught Helen this, and in due time, Helen was able to communicate. She learned how to express herself, and this was at the age of 6. Going forward, Helen started to focus and join school, the school of the blind and the deaf. While she was there, she ended up emerging as summa cum laude. What were the odds? I mean, at 19 months old, that is barely 2 years, she fell sick and lost her ability to see and to hear. Through this process, Helen picked herself up. She became a lecturer. She became an author. And a few of the Toastmasters here might have heard of her book and might have read it, The Story of My Life by Helen Keller. If you've read it, if you've heard about it, you could put your virtual hand up or you could put it in the chat room. Helen Keller's story goes to show us, oh yes, I see Toastmaster Mrinal and Toastmaster Paula. It goes to show us that we should not be stopped by our circumstances. Rather, it is through our circumstances that we should elevate. The next chapter goes to one of the world's greatest servant leaders, and that is none other than Nelson Mandela. We all have famously known about how Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in jail, away from his family, through harsh circumstances, oftentimes never getting to meet his family for over 10 years. And that would break anybody. And while the expectation after Nelson Mandela persevering through everything, continuing to be a servant leader while in jail, letting the people know that we should maintain the peace, he was expected to get out of jail and be the most bitter person in the world. I mean, he had the right to, if anybody was to have that right. Instead, Nelson Mandela went through his circumstances, grew through them, and emerged as a beacon of hope, as a beacon of leadership, and as a beacon of forgiveness. The adversity process is not one that is far-fetched for only world-famous leaders. We go through adversity on a day-to-day basis. How often do we turn our mindsets to look at adversity from the point of how can I go through this? How can I grow through this? And how can I glow through this? Let's take the story of two items, a diamond and a sword. Toastmasters and guests, if I put $1 million on the table right now, none of us would be able to show me a sword that was made without trials and tribulations and being forged through the fire and being beaten up over and over until it's shaped into the perfect metal, into the perfect weapon. None of us can, in the same breath, show us a diamond that was made by sitting in the coldest place on earth. No. They rather have to go through the heat of the earth's mantle. And the more pressure a diamond goes through, the more beautiful, the more magnificent it turns out to be. I would like to let you know that this is not different for us as humans. Famously said, to whom much is given, much is tested. We usually look at that and say, cliche, cliche. Sounds like something I've heard before. But have we taken the time to go back in ourselves and reflect on that statement and think perhaps what we are going through is leading up to something? It is my call, thus, Toastmasters and guests, that we should look within and choose not to run away from adversity, but rather to embrace it and realize that only when you go through will you be able to grow through and thus glow through. Toastmaster of the day, over to you.
Brahm, thank you very much. As you say, we all go through our paths. We grow, and eventually we grow as we succeed at Leadership Speak Toastmasters. And as you mentioned it, no pressure, no diamonds. Thank you very much, Brahm. Our final speaker, fourth speaker, is Brahm. And I invite his evaluator, Paramjit, to please read the purpose statement for Brahm.
Hello, everyone. Toastmaster Brahm is presenting a speech from his part, Presentation Mastery. Project 2, Understanding Your Communication Style. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. And the project says, share a communication style and its impact on professional and personal relationships. It shouldn't be a report on the content of this project. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, Paramjit. Well, we all know who is Brahm. He is so well known to us. Yet here is a short introduction of him. As a founder of Leadership Speak and being such a great altruistic servant leader, Leadership Speak has reached the top 5 in 2023, and we are on the best way to do it better. He is a master coach for over 29 years. He has a thorough knowledge about change management, culture change, and inspiring leaders to become highly effective. The success story of the newly chartered club Leadership Speak is proof of his dedication to amplify and make an impact on guests and to join the club. Please help me welcome Memone. Communication and emotional intelligence. Communication and emotional intelligence, Memone.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Now, if you've done level 2, which of course all members in this club should have done level 2 by now, well, you can't become a member until you've done level 3. So In level 2, you have to do a test in some of the pathways, most of the pathways, your communication style. And so I did that a while back, and this is the result I get. Direct, 7, analytical, 3, supportive, 0. 0, of course, nothing. Absolutely. Is that true? It is not true. And let me explain to you this thing over here and how it applies and where it applies, because communication is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is communication. And you cannot separate the two, nor can you separate leadership style, communication style, and emotional intelligence. It is just one thing, because at any given moment in time, you are being something, you are being somebody, and you are projecting something verbally or verbally to the world. And so what are we sort of projecting to the world as we go through our day with different sets of people, professionally, personally, casually, social media, etc., etc. So what are we putting out into the world is very, very important to understand our communication style. It's not just speaking with somebody professionally. Now, as you all know, I'm a coach. I've been a coach for 30 years. And I've been in Toastmasters for 27 years, almost 28. Oh, hang a second. It'll be 28 years next month, by the way. Or, just 3 weeks' time. Go figure, all right? So now, most of you know my story where, way, way, way back, I had these certificates from some of the top educational organizations that were lying in the trunk of my car, and I was sleeping in my car. Why? I didn't know how to communicate. I would be saying one thing and something else would come out of my mouth. I was the top student in my primary school. I did very well in school. I can take any challenge on and just excel at it. And in Toastmasters, you may as well have seen some of that happening as well. Now, however, you need to understand your communication style. You need to be self-aware where you're coming from. Self-awareness and emotional regulation is so important in being a leader or in serving and in communicating with people. So with the members of this club, there's a certain way of communicating, and also with different members, there's a different way of communicating. I meet with Hannah Schmidt here almost every day, and we have a blast. We laugh our heads off completely. Right, Hannah? It's just amazing. So is it a direct communication? Well, it's a combination of direct, supportive, initiating, and just being crazy and just cracking jokes and all that. So now if I were to meet with Nina or Jennifer, it'd be a totally different types of communication. If I were to meet with Paramjit, it'll be a totally different type of communication. If I were to be in a group and leading something, it'll be very different. If you come to my podcast or, those workshops that I do on Mondays or Wednesdays, almost every week, the communication is very different. So what sort of communication is it that draws hundreds of people, thousands of people over the past 4 years? Is there really a combination? It's not just direct. It is also a lot of supportive, which it says 0 over here. And you can see the result in how many members we have in the club. Over the past 2 days, 2 brand new members joined. We are in now 24 different countries. What sort of communication would it be? So I leave that to you. It is all a combination of this rather than just this. So if I'd done this test, say in the morning, it would be different. If I'd done this test in the evening, it would be different. When I'm with some senior friends, well, they're in the mid-80s, and I meet with them in the coffee, at Coffee McDonald's. It's the best coffee, by the way. And when I meet with them, they talk a lot about their own problems, and their conversations are not of possibility, but of something that is fixed, and this is just the way life is. And when those situations occur, I just keep quiet. In fact, most of the time, if I'm in a crowd casually or in social situations, I'm quiet, because when there's no conversation that is about what is possible for us to do and achieve, I'm quiet, because I know that every conversation is really based on person's limitation. And so when you're pushing your boundaries and limitations further apart, sometimes it's just easier to listen than talk. Here's a thought. Now, how did I get here, by the way? It wasn't, just instantaneously. It is the ability to understand that thought creates emotion. And you need to be able to understand where your thoughts are going and how to shift your emotions with your thoughts. A famous poet, Gulten Akin, which is a Turkish poet, said, "I loved you. I loved you slowly, not suddenly. It's not like I wake up one morning and it's that I got here. It was a slow process, just like the sap goes along the branch and it becomes into leaves in a tree. It's a slow process. And so over the 30 years, with intense training and developing myself, here I am. It could be just anything. Here's another caveat, my dear friends. Have you ever been in love? If you've been in love, you know direct communication doesn't really work. It doesn't. If it was direct communication, you know, when you are in love, I would be like Lionel Richie. Hello, I've been alone, and you've been inside my mind. No, that's what you'd be if you were in direct communication. So when you're in love, for example, have you ever been in love? How does it feel? That feeling of freedom, that uplifting feeling. You have to be supportive, and you have to be sort of blend in with that person and become as a totally different entity. And so you really need to understand that. And so when you're in love, and if you've ever been in love, you know, you sing songs like Mohabbat chume jinnke hath jawani. Of course, you don't understand that, but you get the tune, right? It is so uplifting when I hear that music. Pyar ki kasam hai, na dekho aise pyar. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. It is something totally different. It is not direct. And so I could be any one of these things at any given point in time, depending on who is in front of me and what we are talking about. That is the communication style. You judge, you've seen me in different situations, and if you come socially and join me in a bar, you'll see a different style. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster. Have you ever been in love, Madam Toastmaster?
Yes. Thank you very much, Brahm. You definitely know now how to communicate and how to lead, or leadership would not have been where we are now. Thank you very much for that, for your altruistic leadership. And thank you to all the speakers for your exemplary speeches about servant leaders. Definitely, we are all servant leaders, as we have signed on the dotted line when we handed in our membership application form. Thank you very much. Madam Taima, I see she has put in the times into the chat box already. And have you put all the times? Have they seen all the times, how long you've talked, etc.? Thank you very much, Madam Taima. Oh, Sunda, I hope you had a sharp pencil and lots of paper. And you, as a grammarian, can now put in your report, please. Over to you, Sundar.
Sure. It was very interesting, and the word of the day was used by both guys. It was Mr. Nocawe Nkosi. And the use of words. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. That is very positive. And he used rhetoric and the silence as words. Toastmaster Nicole used the values of my action, was like that kind of got my attention. And great achievements come from great expenses. Meticulous was one of the words used in the Toastmaster. Nocawe as used kind of because I was jumping like a frog. That again captured my attention. Drag to their feet, standing on same spot. Failure is not a denial. Those were the phrases that I got from her. And Toastmaster Baron was go through, grow through, and glow through. Adversity process, that's a different word I felt. Wow, it was for me. We should not be stopped by circumstances that catch my attention. Choose to look within. No pressure, no diamonds. Those are the things that I captured. And Toastmaster Brahm is emotional intelligence is communication. Communication is emotional intelligence. Every communication is based on person's limitations. For God, and I love slowly, not suddenly. And I did. Very nice. I liked it. Loved it. The speeches. Back to Toastmasters.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sunda, for your explanation of the word of the day. And as some of us have used it, there's a background noise coming from somewhere. Can we just maybe? Thank you very much.
From me. That was
Okay.
from me. I take it.
Thank you. Mr. Zoomaster, please launch the poll for the best effort speaker. And I am sure it will be a difficult situation today. Very difficult because everybody has given their best. Over to you. And while we do our voting, let us just stretch and have a time to stretch and take a deep breath that we can start our new session, the evaluation session, with my new captain on the ship. Would you please let me know when the polling is finished, when the polling is done?
You should really continue and not wait for the poll.
Okay, yeah, okay, I'll do so. Thank you very much. And as I said again, thank you very much for all your wonderful speeches. And I now hand my leadership captaincy over to our general evaluator, President Asif Saiyed, who will steer this leadership into safe harbors. Asif is a governance and risk management professional. Since 30 years, he's been helping various large organizations to implement effective and efficient risk management processes and controls. Asif is a leadership and executive coach. He's a certified trainer with a John Maxwell leadership training session and a coach with Andy Harrington's Professional Speakers Leadership Speakers Academy. Please help me welcome our General Evaluator, Asif.
Thank you very, very much, Toastmaster Hannah. Now for steering this meeting and then handing over this, our next very fantastic session on evaluation. Well, let me just set the framework about how our evaluations is going to go ahead. In the beginning, in our evaluation session, our first role player was Toastmaster Paula, who raised the toast, and her evaluator is Toastmaster Claudette. I invite Toastmaster Claudette to evaluate Toastmaster Paula's raising the toast.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially Paula, congratulations on raising an effective toast. Paula, you excel at your engaging opening questions. You had 2 of them, I believe. What does leading by example mean? How do we demonstrate servant leadership? And I believe there was another one. What is your style that supports others? You explained the meaning of servant leadership, and you gave that well-known quote and a compelling example, as you said, by John C. Maxwell. The leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. You also reminded us of our Toastmasters core values with examples, specific examples of servant leadership. Your explanation of the theme, Paula, was very clear and specific. You concluded by telling us that servant leadership is the legacy and is alive in each person they influence. I believe this was an inspiring and memorable way to end your toast. You excel at your Zoom presence. You had effective eye contact throughout, and your face just lit up the screen. So you connected well with me, and I believe with the audience. Just to consider, Paula, reminding us to unmute our microphones, because sometimes, we forget to do that. Before you ask us to raise our glasses, then you say your toast, your short, effective toast. take a sip first. It's always good to take a sip first so that the audience would follow, steady applaud, and then thank us before returning control to the TMOD. To summarize, Paula, your toast was effective in terms of its content, structure, the Zoom presence, and engagement with the audience. Just consider the suggestions for the formal part of the toast at the end. Overall, Paula, your effective toast supported the theme of the meeting today. Thank you and job well done. Back to you, Mr. Evaluator, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Claudette. Now, your evaluation, which you gave, definitely was well structured. And not only that, you also reiterated the raising a toast, the framework for raising a toast. And your evaluation was also very motivational. Thank you for that. Now, we move on to our next evaluator, who is going to evaluate the Toastmaster of the day, the loving, affectionate, and pleasant Toastmaster Hana. She's going to be evaluated by our Toastmaster Vinod. Toastmaster Vinod is going to evaluate Toastmaster Hana.
Thank you, General Evaluator Mohmad Asif. Hana. I actually felt I was seeing the law of thermodynamics in action. The energy transfers from hot to cold. And you really lit up the screen today, and I have never seen you like this. Really, I was impressed by the way you came. You stood as a TMOD and you took us. A TMOD has a multifaceted role. He or she is a tour guide. They are an event host. They are an event planner. They need to be effective with their execution. And you were to the dot. But the most that I liked about your role today, that you were excited. And that excitement could be seen in all the role players that you were inviting on the screen. They carried that energy that you were transferring to them, and they started with that same energy. So kudos, amazing job with that. Throughout the speech, and what I liked most about your role as a TMOD is you didn't dwell into the research of the servant leadership, and you kept it for the leadership speaker. I would have not done that, but I have learned something from you today. You actually touched what servant leadership is with respect to Toastmasters. You reminded the 10 promises, you reminded the values, and you reminded that we all are here, altruistic servant leaders, to contribute to success of other members and for the club. You were crystal clear. There was no, unclarity of message. It was very clear. And then you let the leadership speaker to talk about the history and all those things about that. So you were aware about what was going on. And you took us through the theme park of servant leadership. Everybody was engaged in that. Now, if I have to give any suggestion, that I will not do today much, but the agenda change was there. I believe Brahm already mentioned that the agenda change is there. So one speaker had dropped out, so I felt that was fine. But other than that, the grammarian role that Sundar is doing, I believe on the agenda it is coming at the end, because the grammarian usually has to evaluate the entire meeting and say how many people have used the words and all these things. If intentionally you have done so that after speaker section we do that, and after evaluator section we do that, then it is fine. But for my understanding, I believe that a grammarian role usually will come after all the roles have been done, so that they can give the word report and the good phrases, what all the other evaluators have learned. If I have missed that, it's okay. But I would love to see you take off from here. Have this same energy. We want you like this. And let us, like what you say, create an altruistic servant leadership environment. What you have taught us today, I will follow that. Thank you very much. And back to the G.
Thank you very much, Vinod, for your evaluation. Now, what I noted in your evaluation, Vinod, was you were speaking through the camera. You not only were speaking through the camera, but also you pointed out the all aspects of the Toastmaster of the day. Your evaluation was very motivating, and at the same time, you noted that how the grammarian role positioning was, which the grammarian comes at the later of the meeting, but this role was called for in the just after completing the speech evaluation, correct? So yes, you have been very you have been listening to the speech and heard the way she's been conducting the meeting. Thank you for the evaluation. And now we move on to our next evaluator. Well, that is all about leadership speak educational session. And I invite Toastmaster Tony Brashett to take over from here to evaluate our leadership speak. Our leadership educational speaker, Toastmaster Buhari.
Okay, thank you, General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially you, Buhari. Your theme was on persuasive influence. Your topic, of course, was on servant leadership, and your title was, Yes, I Can. My focus was whether you engaged the audience. And on that, I will talk about the three components of audience engagement. The first component is emotion. Did you touch my heart? Did you touch our hearts? Did you use passion? Yes, you did. By telling a story of your experience as a club leader and how with your mentors and your club members, you evolved to become a better servant leadership. So yes, you did. The second component would be novelty. Second component of audience engagement. Did you tell us something new for us? Now, you gave us a number of steps, and in those steps, there was something new for, I would think, everybody, including me. For example, you talked about a lead by example, foresight, collaboration. And what I really liked, Buhari, was feedback. Yeah, feedback. I got to do more feedback if I want to be a good servant leader. So yes, there was something new, something for us to learn. The third component, memorable. Was there something memorable? Now, for me, two things. You talked about Toastmasters logo mantra of leaders are made. Yes, leaders are made, not necessarily born. But what I really liked was servant leadership must be practiced, practiced, practiced. You're right. We got to do that more often. All the time, right? Now, I have a suggestion. You gave us valuable information, a number of good steps. But you know how every journey starts off with a small step? So I would ask that there would have been a small step, a call to arms, you might say, that you would have said to us, pick your first step. Reach out to us. What is your first step you're going to take? Perhaps it's going to be feedback for me. Perhaps it's going to be lead by example for you. Take us to that first step. Now, overall, you achieved the three components of a persuasive influence, of engaging the audience. So when you say, Buhari, yes, I can, I say in reply, yes, you did. Back to you, GE.
Thank you very much, Tony, for this evaluation, which is very much uplifting the educational speaker, and you rightly pointed out the suggestions. One of the suggestions which I would, I think, which you could have highlighted, Tony, was that the Zoom presence. Because when educational speaker, the Zoom presence for maintaining and engaging the audience for almost 20 minutes is of paramount importance, right? And here what I noticed that Buhari's camera was placed in a way that, you know, it is his view was limited only to till this level, and which I believe, and sometimes it was also bit, maybe on my side I would have been seeing that, but it was disturbing as well. We are missing out some of the presentation, or his video was hanging. So maybe that aspect you could have definitely highlighted, and that would have been really added much more value to his presentation. Thank you very much, Tony. And now we are going to move to our next evaluator, that is evaluating our first speaker, Toastmaster Nicole. I invite Toastmaster Bindu to evaluate Toastmaster Nicole.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. A very good evening, good afternoon, good morning to one and all. Congratulations, my speaker and Toastmaster, Nicole, for completing that project. What I really liked about your speech, I would put it in 3 sentences. First, the introduction. Wow. You had initially gave a message to us that you are going to attend an interview and you want to demonstrate that you are an exemplary leader. So that really give a connection to your topic that you were telling. And we could also relate that to our own interview sessions that we had during our career period. The second is that you have taken us to that real interview process in which you are telling your strengths and you put it in a number, trying to tell to our employer about your strengths and the qualities that you have to fit into that so-called complaints inspector, the job that you had mentioned in the company. The third, I really see a servant leader in you because you concluded with telling that, yeah, this is what I would do as an employee in this, with all those skills that I have learned as a motivational speaker or as from the Toastmaster, various pathways you had acquired and you're trying to put it to become this a better employee. Being a servant leader and truly altruistic, I really want to challenge. And you can challenge yourself by telling the whole interview process in the sense that it's an interview. It's not a one-way talk. No, you just told as, you know, an employee. So interview means there's a Q&A session. So you can always bring the employer and the introductory remark, hello, Nicole, please be seated. So that gives a real feeling of, you know, in viewing an interview, so-called. You can also challenge yourself by telling that what the employer wanted from you and what you want to offer. Another thing that I would also like you to do is that you can always bring your past and present and give a foresight. Always the leaders have got a vision. So you being a servant leader, you can always tell that if you become an employee for the next 20 years or so, my vision is to uplift this into such and that. That is my vision. So that gives a real different perspective of you as a servant leader. Maybe the employer like it or not, but then that gives a real true different picture of yourself as a leader. To summarize, fantastic speech, but all the ingredients of a good speech, if you could incorporate or challenge yourself by putting it as a Q&A, as an interview, real interview between your employee and the employee, would have taken a different level. Because finally, you're going to tell to the audience from the employer that, wow, Nicole, you are selected because you've shown that you're going to be a truly altruistic leader. Thank you very much. Over to the general evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Bindu, for the critical evaluation. I think definitely it will be very, very useful for our speaker. Now, most important, let me take a breath. In the evaluation, what really went well, what you really loved was strikingly clear about the speech, and how can the speaker improve. This is what is required in a crisp 2 to 3 minutes. Over here, Toastmaster Bindu, you could have added in the evaluation was, you could see the speaker was not in the perfect flow, harmony. And the reason being, most probably, is making it more like a speech rather than feeling that there is a panel in front of me and I'm continuously talking to them. Now, that's very important, one of the critical elements. Other than that, just to make our evaluations very crisp, focus only on the 3 aspects very quickly, and that will help you to conclude your evaluation within the time. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Bindu, for an uplifting evaluation. We now move on to our next evaluator, who's going to be evaluating Toastmaster Nocawe. I invite Toastmaster Irin. Irin Sadia.
Thank you very much, General Evaluator. And hello, everyone. Nocawe, thank you for your speech. One of the things that caught my attention was your speech title. It made me curious. What is she going to talk about? Jumping like a frog. So that already drew me in. Good title choice. I also liked when you started off, you asked us a question and you came close to the screen, lowered your tone, and I saw you jumping. So those are some of the things that you did really well. The purpose of this project was for you to show us how you developed a plan, built a team to fulfill the role or the plan that you wanted to execute. And you took us through that and you showed us where things went wrong. And so it shows that you were taking stock, you were evaluating what didn't go right, what went right. Now, because you're a naturally soft-spoken person, you may come out like sometimes your tone can be very almost monotone. It does not variate as it would come out. So what I would encourage you or challenge you to do better is internalize your speech a little bit more, practice it more, so that when you come to those phrases, for example, where you said, broke my heart, it was very monotone. You could have lowered your voice or took a pause at that point to help us internalize, broke your heart, right? But overall, you did really well. I enjoyed your speech. And you left us with a parting shot saying that failure is not denial. And so that helped us to think of maybe spaces where we may have failed. And it just encourages us that just because we failed doesn't mean it is denial. Overall, Nocawe, well done. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Irin, for an uplifting evaluation. And at the same time, you definitely gave good points to Toastmaster Nocawe to improve her speech. One more place where I believe you could have added was a Zoom presence. Her Zoom presence was also good, and she had clarity in her speech. Most important, maybe, I believe like because she completed a speech within the yellow light itself, maybe she could have added something more from her experience on how does she manage the project. Well, now we move on to our next evaluator, who is going to be evaluating Toastmaster John is going to be evaluating Toastmaster Baron. Welcome,
Thank
Toastmaster
you.
John.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, guests and visitors, and especially Baron Ochola. Thank you for that very inspiring and memorable speech, and in particular, your memorable takeaway advice. When you find yourself in an adverse situations, go through it, grow through it, and glow through it. Thank you for that advice. I like several things about your speech. As I said, it's very inspiring. And you asked me to focus on the cohesiveness of that speech and the delivery. And so I'm going to, within my time, going to discuss and focus on those two items. One, the content. I thought you did effectively well in your content. The clarity, it was very clear. The examples that you gave to substantiate your premise, and of course, your take-home message. The structure, the organization, and everything all made it very cohesive. Now to the delivery. I thought you did very well in various aspects of your delivery. In particularly, the way in which you engage the audience, your eye contact. I could see your face all the time looking at the screen, which I enjoy very much. However, I didn't really hear so much about your vocal variety, as well as your hand gestures. There were times that I felt that your hand gestures were a little bit below or could have been improved. Therefore, if you want to repeat this speech, and when you want to give feedback or want to repeat this speech, you may want to consider improving your voice modulation. You might also want to try to and consider improving your hand gestures. All in all, I enjoyed the title of your speech, your memorable takeaway message. If you find yourself in any adverse situation, go through it, grow through it, and glow through it. Back to you, Madam and Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster John Ojefo, for your critical evaluation, and definitely it was very much uplifting. Toastmaster Baron's speech was very well crafted and also very well delivered. One of your suggestions, which you have mentioned to Toastmaster Baron about about his Zoom presence and whether, for example, his hand gestures are visible or not. Well, may I also suggest the same thing to you as far as part of your Zoom presence, because in your Zoom presence, many times your hand gestures were not visible. Maybe you can just step back a little bit from your screen, and that's where you will be visible very well. So with that, thank you very much, John Ojefo, for your wonderful evaluation. And so now we move on to our next evaluator. That will be Toastmaster Paramjit, who is going to be evaluating Toastmaster Baram's speech. Toastmaster Paramjit.
Thank you, General Evaluator, Toastmaster Asif, fellow Toastmasters, and the guests. Brahm, the NLP presupposition says the meaning of your communication is the response you get. Means the way you communicate, same way you will get the response from the people. So the communication is not one way, it is always a two-way communication, that what we said and what is heard, they both be same, otherwise it will become a chaos. Thank you, Toastmaster Brahm, for your inspiring and very informative speech about communication styles. And you added another dimensions, emotional intelligence. And what a quote, I think, by you. Emotional intelligence is communication, and communication is emotional intelligence. And you cannot separate the both. And you demonstrated the same with your own example and old story, and informed about the way you made the test. And you had a direct 7, you had a direct communication 7, analytical 3, initiating 2s, and sportive 0. But over the years, with your experience and by going through the projects, I think you have already made it very apt and adaptable to all types of people, all type of communication. The things which I like most about you is you very well explained everyone that how you have a different type of communication with different people and different groups. And we all have that, particularly when you're talking with Nina, Hannah, myself, or even when you're friends, and when you are delivering your keynote speak, or when even your trainings. That is really, and I could relate. I think everybody could relate that we all have a different type of approach dealing with different people and different scenarios. The other thing which I really like is today there was only one slide, and you are as much effective without the slides also. That the speech, it was every much was engaged in the speech. That was the one thing which I think you have everything, even without slide also, you are so much of effective. The very much there was a apt example when you are in love. The direct communication will be really fatal in that particular case. And you had explained it with a wonderful vocal variety and speaking like a language and singing the Hindi songs also. And I think everybody could relate with that. Now, the things which can be added more value to the speech, I think I was expecting, because it's an international, a lot of people are from different countries. Hindi songs was, of course, you are showing up. I know you are under passion and you wanted to share, but Michael Jackson song would have been even more added value to this. You are so much enthusiastically charged. And second thing was, it was going very fast. Pauses in between. It was not, we were not able to grasp the thing. A pause at different intervals would have added value to this. And to summarize, you are a great speaker and a lot of stories in your pocket always to share with, adding pauses and I think in international language will certainly give us more inspiration and innovation. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Paramjit, for this evaluation, and I believe it will definitely be very helpful to Brahm. Now, it's very tough, to evaluate such an accomplished person or a speaker like Brahm, isn't it? And you did a wonderful job. I feel that, where you could have added one more point for such exceptional speakers or who have a lot of knowledge and many accomplishments is, what is the take-home message for the audience, especially when he is an accomplished coach for almost 30 years. What is that from his experience the audience can learn? And that message would have been really, really helpful in the last few minutes, would have condensed his almost 30 years of experience as a coach and helped the audience as to how can they decide or how can they benefit or develop their own communication style and the pitfalls and the strengths of it. So, Toastmaster Paramjit, the WIFM concept is very, very important for such a speaker, and that if you would have highlighted, it would really, really help Brahm. That's my understanding or my thought process for exceptional speakers. Well, thank you very much all our evaluators for being part of this evaluation session. I've been rushing through, yes, because, we got to have a very important event today, which is going to happen after we complete all this evaluations. So that there's going to be an election has to be held. So we did have the grammarian report quite early, but now let me invite our grammarian as well, while the poll is going to be launched, to tell us, Toastmaster Sonder, if there is anything which could be improved in the evaluation grammar as well. A very quick brief. Toastmaster Sonder?
Yes, General Evaluator.
In the meanwhile, the timer can please post the timings in the chat. Yes, you have already done. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Jennifer, for posting the timing.
From the evaluators, from Toastmaster Vinod, thermodynamics, no unclarity of messages, that was outstanding. Then from Toastmaster Tony, novel was a word that we did. Back to you. Those are the words I noted. I haven't seen any not so good usage of words. I haven't.
Okay, thank you so much, Toastmaster Sonder. Now, very quickly about this meeting. Well, all our meetings at the Leadership Speaks are well structured, and then we always are prepared more for any kind of changes happening. We are very dynamic, and there is a lot of background work happening where we are collaborating with each other on the WhatsApps, so that whatever changes happens in the meetings are taken care of. The meeting started off really very well. I mean, we had a very, very energetic and charismatic Toastmaster of the day who, took us through this whole journey, and kept the mood up for everybody. Like, she has been very encouraging as a Toastmaster, and she's, really developed a lot in her communication style. So that's the key aspect which I saw. Even the toast and the speeches were all, in coherence with our theme of the day, that is servant leadership. Even the evaluators did consider the role, the theme in their evaluations as well. So all in one, I believe that, our meeting, today it's within a reasonable time. We have completed our this session. Because we have a very important event, I wouldn't dwell much upon how much more we can improve in delivering our meetings. So let me save it for some other day. And today I will conclude over here my GE evaluation. Thank you all the evaluators for being being very, very cooperative in the evaluation session. Well, now I hand over to our Toastmaster of the day to conduct the meeting further. Toastmaster Hannah.
Thank you very much, Asif. You gave every evaluator some good guidance on how to be a servant leader and how to improve on their evaluations. Thank you very much. We have now anchored in safe harbors, but before we disembark, I've got somebody else that can help us. Please help me welcome Mohmad. And I request him to present us with the thought of the day. Over to you, Mohmad.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Today was the servant leadership. So every speaker helped me to reshape my own thinking, my own thought about servant leadership. And everybody stressed self-awareness. So I'm thinking that I know my name, I know I have 5 fingers in my hand, and I know the name of my children, I know what they are doing. But it is not the self-awareness. Self-awareness means, do I know the purpose of my life? And do I have any vision? And that these 2 points, every speaker has carried forward during their speeches and helped me to reshape my own thinking and my own thought. First, the grammarian and timer, they brought the altruistic characteristic of a servant leadership. everybody has to be unselfishness, show his unselfishness towards these people to become a servant leader. Buhari, he brought an empathetic idea that everybody has to have a desire to help others, and then he can become a servant leader. Paula, they reshaped in a new way with a very famous quote that I need to know myself, know my way, and I have to show the way to my people and then lead them as a part of the team. And that was really a good idea for me. Nocawe presented the example of jumping frog. Everybody sometimes feels like they are in a well and they are jumping like a frog to come out. And she gave a very good idea to become a servant leader. So she said that you need someone, very sincere people, very, very appropriate and right people in your life who will pull you out of the well. And in this way, you can be successful. And if you will serve the person who is out of the well and stretching his hand to pull out someone in the well, you are the servant leader. Nocawe, yes, is a good idea. Then I see Baron Ochola. He has actually reset my thinking about servant leadership by giving the adversity process theory. So we are all in an adverse situation. We don't have too much resources. We are having very limited resources. And within this limited resources, we need to go through it and then grow through it. And finally, we will glow. And he gave the example of Helen Keller. Helen Keller, we know that she was having some disability, but she never accepted that her disability should define her. And in this way, she became a servant leader because she showed that even though this adversity, we can look for many ways to help others to become a servant leader. Thank you, all the speakers, all the role players who helped me to refresh my ideas about servant leadership and reshape my thought today. Over to Madam Hannah.
Thank you very much, Mohmad, for your thought of the day. I'll hand over again. Thank you very much for me being your Toastmaster of the day, your leader for leadership. I have enjoyed every moment of it. And now I hand over to our President Asif again, who will take over and he will share with us the 2 crew members of my leadership who have indeed excelled and are worthy of an accolade as the best effort speaker and best evaluator. Over to you, Asif.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hannah. Now, for recognizing our today's best effort speakers and best effort evaluators, I invite our PR master to display the certificates so that we can recognize them. Okay, many congratulations, Toastmaster Nocawe, for being judged as the best effort speaker today. And our best effort evaluator is Toastmaster Vinod Panikar. Many congratulations to both of you. Oh, we have further evaluators as best effort evaluators. Many congratulations, Toastmaster Tony and Toastmaster Claudette. 3 of them together over here today. Thank you very much. And many congratulations to all for being judged as the best effort evaluator and best effort speaker. Now, in Leadership Speak, what it stands for, being an advanced Toastmaster club, and essentially a Toastmasters club, is servant leadership. Now, this particular word has been used across all over the world many a times in leadership, maybe a jargon. At the same time, you have seen by the number of examples which were cited during this whole session, for example, Helen Keller, and we had one more person, I just forgot what was. Okay, we'll come back to that as well. So the number of examples which were cited, that shows us how important it is in leadership to be ready to serve your community, to look beyond your own personal gain, your own personal recognition, and sacrifice many a times so that it can lead to better opportunities and progress for the audience or for the followers whom you are leading. Being a servant leader, it's quite important that what you do should reflect what you say. Both has to be in synchronization. So leading by example is very important. I just forgot the name, Nelson Mandela. So important. So throughout this, in Toastmasters, we have been taught to come here to serve. Look beyond your own personal gain, because in service to the community itself, your growth lies. Because there are so many things we are going to be overcoming. One, your own personal limitations, because it's only when your own cup is overflowing is that when you can share with others. Unless and until you get out of that limiting belief, that internal sense that you're not enough, is then where you cannot go and share with others. It's just not important to be a leader, leading the members, but also be seen as a beneficial person to your followers, and you see them how they are moving ahead in their life. Now, thank you very much all our members who have been very enthusiastic participants in our leadership speak meetings, taking up roles and being in the camaraderie, helping each other to grow. And that's where what is very important in Toastmasters is this feeling of togetherness. Wherever you go, whichever part of the world you go, you will be able to make friends, especially in Toastmasters. Well, with this, now we have come to an end to a very important, to our normal meetings structure. Now we're going to proceed further to conduct the election. For that, I invite Toastmaster Brahm for a minute, very quick. Are we going to allow our audiences as well? Or because we don't have anybody else as from the floor, I believe, so I will invite straight away Toastmaster Vinod to conduct the election.
So there's a couple of guests still over here, so let's just say hello and then let them exit the room, and then we can do the elections. If they're still here, I think they are all exiting as I'm talking even, so that is fine. I think Yvonne Codrington is here, and she's always here, and she's never available. I think she walks away from the computer. So Yvonne Codrington, how are you? Are you there? Yeah, okay. So she isn't. Okay. And I don't think there's any other guests that I see here. So if you can, Mr. Sergeant, Mrs. Dumas, if you can remove Yvonne Codrington from the room, that'd be great. And those who have from two devices, take one of your devices off. So there's only one device here, and so on. So that's what we need to do. Yeah?
And you want to continue with the recording as well, the Zoom.
No, we switch off the recording. So over to you, Mr. President. Yeah, switch off the recordings, adjourn the meeting, and then we can do the elections, right? Except for Dan Odero. Now, Dan Odero, by the way, before we go on, is not a member currently. Okay, but he's going to help us with the election by being a co-host so that he can let people in case there's members coming in while the election's coming on. Over to you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you very much, Brahm, for that. So now with this, I'm going to adjourn our meeting and request our Zoom master to stop the recording. Thank you very much for being part of this.